Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Good on Paper. And this is a new Netflix film. It is a romantic comedy. And here's the thing, if you go in just looking at that and thinking, oh, this is just going to be a rom-com, it's very different. And this is written by actress Iliza Shlesinger, who is the lead actress in this film, playing Andrea, and we have Kimmy Gatewood, who is the director here, who actually has starred in a couple of different shows, including Glow. So I recall, I love that show, and Netflix, and the fact that this seems to be some pretty talented people putting this film together, and this film starts off being like a really standard romantic comedy. And we have Andrea, who is a stand-up comedian, and she meets this guy at an airport, and they are next to each other on an airplane, and they start hitting it off, and she's doing voiceover and stand-up bits talking about this budding friendship and relationship that she's developing with this guy. And the first act of this film is them hitting it off. Pretty standard rom-com affair. Things are going great, and she's happy. And then all of a sudden, Dennis, this man played by Ryan Hansen, he keeps avoiding certain things, like she has never seen where he lives and different kinds of stuff like that. He supposedly owns this house, and her best friend, Margot, played by Margaret Cho, who steals the show here. She's a lot of fun. She makes up a lot of the laughs in this film, starts being like, hey, this is weird. And they start pulling threads back, and this man's not all he seems to be. And this film starts to take a darker turn and becoming a lot more interesting than just some standard cheesy rom-com. And you're like, okay, I'm into this. I'm starting to get into this, because before this I'm just like, this is not interesting. They're not doing anything new or different. And here, now things are starting to pick up, and then the third act takes an even, it jumps a shark. It goes off the deep end and swings too far into this submersive kind of story that goes to crazy places, and you're just like, what's going on here? And the film deals with a lot of themes, and Andrea, she's really jealous of Serena, played by Rebecca Rittenhouse, who is a peer of hers, and she's so much more successful, and she has these grudges, and her trying to get over these things. And Schlesinger does a really fine job of portraying these emotions and these frustrations. I enjoy her in this film, and there's a lot going on here in terms of this film commentating on relationship expectations and different kinds of things like that. And here, she is starting to find out all these seedy things about this guy who's not who he's supposed to be. And it's trying to take on these expectations of relationships and playing on abuse and emotional abuse and manipulation in relationships. It becomes so absurd and over the top that it's hard to take seriously, even though this film starts off really cheesy and silly and like a cheesy rom-com, then takes this shift, which subverts your expectations, but then goes so far with it that it kind of undoes its own messaging. And then you can't take it seriously, and then it doesn't really work. And along the way, Ryan Hansen, his performance as Dennis for most of this film is really not great. And he seems like so stiff and awkward, and like, is he really like playing a character here within the story? And it's just like, up until that point when you start to really feel things out here, it just feels so awkward and weird and just put off, and you're just like, how is she even liking this guy? He is so weird and creepy and like just off-putting. And in the end, there's definitely some laughs here. There's definitely some enjoyable moments. There's definitely some really poignant moments in terms of some of the themes of this film. But by the end, it doesn't really come together because there's basically 3 different films here and 3 different tones that never really come together fully. And I think Gatewood struggles to balance that and to keep it consistent and really help fully realize what Schlesinger is trying to say here, which is done in a pretty heavy-handed and blunt kind of way. And when you get to the end of Good on Paper, it's just so much of a mixed bag that you feel a little disappointed because you're just like, I wanted more from this. And it went to some places that had a lot of potential, but it never fully realized that potential, and it just leaves you kind of wanting at the end. But if you're like super into rom-coms, I don't even think like this subverts that. It's not going to give you what you expect. And in the end, I don't know how many people are going to feel satisfied watching this film, but there's definitely some potential here. So I'd like to see more of the work from both Schlesinger and Gatewood, but at this point, I don't know how much I could strongly recommend this. But those are my thoughts on Good on Paper. It's on Netflix. You could stream it right now. But let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.